me tell you something. Let me tell you what I'm trying to do with my hair.
Okay.
And let me tell you why I messed it up.
What are you doing?
So do you watch WWE before?
Yeah, I've watched WWE
You know
before.
Hardy Boys?
I think so.
Jeff Hardy? You know
Mm,
Swanton Bomb and
no.
no? Okay, so he has long hair,
Yeah.
but what he does, like he shaves it like this. It's like undercut. Someone's at the door. So yeah, sorry for the interruption. We just got ding dong ditched.
Yes, we'll cut that out.
Nah.
Welcome everyone
Yeah.
to episode 5 in our endless series of Much Ado About Economics.
Yes.
And today we're going to talk about something that came up in our blog post. Now, if you haven't checked it out, MAAeconomics.blogpost.com. We'll put the link in the description. We've started blogging as well. The blogs are just essentially a condensed version of these podcasts.
Yeah, just
because-
our two piece and what we find.
Yeah, because these
Mhm.
podcasts take some time to edit and get together and take out all the bloopers and everything.
So that's why we can only do it once a week. So we
Yeah.
thought that maybe during the week we could add other things that you could also, look at, think about.
Exactly. And it's a different medium. It's a written medium rather than a speaking medium. So it allows us to be concise, coherent,
And work on our
cohesive.
writing skills.
I don't think cohesive is the right word in this situation.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But today we want to talk about hybrid work, which is like work from home, but also going to the office.
Mm-hmm.
It's like basically, I guess, like once or twice a week, you're going to go to the office and have meetings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you see, the interesting thing about work from home was a super rapid adaptation. When we did COVID-19, and we spoke about this in sorry.
previous episodes.
the previous episodes and in the blog post as well, that we rapidly adopted this work from home concept.
Yeah.
But work from home isn't new. And I'll explain why. So London, UK. Now the prices in central London are very high, and it's very expensive to live in London. And obviously it is very expensive for companies to operate,
Yeah, like
in
commercial rent.
right? So GlaxoSmithKline, the guys who make Tylenol, Panadol,
Yeah, GSK. Mm-hmm.
the good stuff. So these guys, when they would operate, and that time people used to use laptops and Blackberries, right? So the way they would do it is their office was also built on this hybrid model. So people would not per se have rooms and assigned desks. They would just be general desks with a monitor, a keyboard, and all you had to do was come into work, plug your laptop into the monitor keyboard, plug your BlackBerry into the laptop. The BlackBerry would provide you with internet connection and all the security data that you require to be able to get into the central servers.
So it's like a
And
library.
that's you working from home.
Yeah.
Exactly like a library,
Yeah.
right? So that hybrid model already existed. So people would spend 3 days out of office and 2 days in office.
Yeah.
So that hybrid model is not new.
It's not
And
new.
people find this style very effective.
Yeah.
But now we went to a complete one-sided model where everybody was working from home.
Yeah. And even if you look at Toronto, like I was reading on Financial Post, the average commercial rent was projected, I think in 2017, they projected that the 2020 commercial rent per square foot in Toronto would be about $80,
Which is crazy.
which is insane. You'd be
Right.
paying, for like a medium-sized office, you'd be paying like $1,500, $2K a month.
Right? So the idea quite simply was that okay, so $80 per square foot per year,
Yeah.
right? So if we calculate that,
Yeah.
so we're talking about $6 a square foot
Per-
a month,
A month.
right?
Yeah.
And there are places in Canada where you can get office space for $1.50
Yeah.
a square foot a month.
Yeah.
So $6, almost $7 a square foot a month is crazy.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at how big some offices need to be, multi-floors.
Right? Because
So-
one person, a 3 or 4 people office needs at least 500 to 600 square foot.
Yeah.
Because you need a meeting room, you need some cubicle space, you need actual rooms for like executives. So you
Mm.
need that office space.
Conference rooms, yeah, lunch
Exactly.
breaks. Yeah.
You need that space,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like with this whole idea of work from home, I think people are getting benefits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Companies will probably come up to you and say, hey, you know what, why don't you spend, here's like 200, 300, maybe like $400 or $500, $1,000.
Yeah.
Say that, you know what, take some money from us, set up your office, get a monitor, get a nice desk, get a keyboard, and set yourself up so that you can operate from home.
Like effectively, efficiently.
And I think the government is also giving people benefits in your tax returns.
Yes. So how it is, I've heard about this too. So if you're spending money from your own pocket to create that office space,
Mhm.
and then you end up getting a job,
Mm-hmm.
then you get tax breaks from that expenditure.
Right?
Yeah.
And this whole idea of getting tax breaks from office space isn't new, because people who used to run sole proprietors or like limited partnerships,
Yeah.
they were able to claim a certain tax benefit on their
Even
because of their office space.
and like self-employed entrepreneurs and contractors as well.
Mhm.
It's like, for example, I was actually realized, if you notice, a lot of entrepreneurs have G-Wagons.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Yes.
Is
Because of the weight thing.
Yeah.
So the reason they get these cars is because they're over, I think, a certain weight. I think it's above 6,000 pounds.
And like a certain price range.
So you can get a tax break.
Not just a tax break, you put it on the company's expense. And it's
Mm.
completely legal. It's fine because like it's your work vehicle. Like you use
Yeah.
that vehicle for work,
For
but it's
work.
the right weight, so you get a tax break on it. So it's basically you pay zero tax on that car.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
That's insane. I feel like there's all these loopholes around every place that you can
Yeah.
just
If you just read into it, you'll probably find many things.
do it.
But yeah, so coming back here, like we're gonna have to do like a cost benefit analysis here
for work from home. Yeah.
for work from home. So for example, let's say we're gonna compare having an office space
Mm-hmm.
to paying an employee $1,000 to set it up.
Yep.
So let's say an average employee will last about what, 3 years, 3 to 4
Maybe
years,
2 to 3. I
to
think
three?
2 to 3 is a better question. Like it's a better estimate in this market.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say 2 to 3 years, an employee will stay at your company.
Mhm.
All right. So you give them $1,000, and
Yeah.
that 1,000 will be basically maybe a few maintenance here and there. Oh, my keyboard broke. I want another one.
Yeah.
So let's say
I broke my laptop. I need another one.
Yeah. So let's say all in all, 1,250, 1,500 per in the span of 2-3 years. You're paying for the
Okay, I
employee.
don't think so. I think that I think there's a cost on both ends. The
Yeah.
first, so why don't we do it this way? Let's identify some mutual costs.
Okay.
Okay, so mutual costs will be your hardware.
Yeah.
So assume that because you're going to give the employees a certain bit of hardware in any case, like you're going to
Like
give them a
laptop.
laptop, you're going to give them a keyboard, you're going to give them a mouse, you're going to give them some cables, you're going to give them like VPN tokens.
No, just a laptop. To be
No, I
fair.
think you have to give them a lot of stuff. Like you have to give them a few bits and pieces. Because like if I'm working for a multinational and let's say I need a mouse for when I work,
Okay, but
I'm gonna tell them, listen, give me a mouse. I'm not gonna go out and buy my own mouse.
they can just give you the money, like buy it yourself, get the one you want.
They
right?
could, but that's the same cost, isn't it? Giving them a mouse or
Buying
buying
them
a
a
mouse
mouse.
is almost the same thing.
It's the same thing. So it doesn't really, but it depends on company to company. But
Yeah.
like a medium-sized company,
Mhm.
I don't think they want to hold on to so much hardware themselves.
Fair.
They'd rather just give you the cash and you get it.
Fair.
Yeah.
So you have that whole cost of these laptops, right? And these
Yeah.
laptops are obviously recycled. These laptops are leased. They're not even owned by the company,
Yeah,
so
like
it's not a
MacBook
cost.
Airs. Yeah.
No, it's like it's not a hardware maintenance cost for the company. It's just a lease cost. So they'll lease it out from Dell. So they'll go to like Dell or they'll go to HP and be like, okay, we have 500 employees.
Yeah.
We need 500 laptops. We have 20 seniors. We have 400 middle, or sorry, we have 20 seniors. We have 300 middle management, and we have 100 low class. And then we have the remaining amount is IT staff. So IT staff will get really good laptops. Senior management will get ultrabooks. Middle management will get decent laptops, and lower class will get crap
MacBook
laptops.
Airs.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And then the companies will pay a certain lease cost
Mm.
for these laptops,
And it's like the fixed cost for the year.
and it's provided with maintenance. It's provided with all accidental
Services.
protection, all the services that you need. Right. So that's just one fixed cost the companies will pay, irrespective of if they're going to be
Working from home
Working
or
from
working in
home.
the office, because
Right.
you need the equipment.
exactly.
So that's a big thing. That's a big headache off as well. Because like, okay,
Mhm.
either way you're gonna pay for it. All right, what's
Yep.
next? So now you have office space,
Mm-hmm.
which is like the number one issue, depending on where you are. In
Office
some
space
places,
and utilities.
In some places, it's not a big deal. You
Mhm.
can afford to have an office space
Yep.
because it's a lot cheaper in certain places.
Mhm.
But if you are thinking about growing as a company, you want to be in the main areas.
Yeah.
You want to be in London. You want to be in Toronto. You want to be in New York.
You want to be on Bay Street, not in Mississauga.
Exactly. Mississauga is growing, but yeah, that's the point. Like you
You
want
get
to
what
be
I
on
mean.
Bay Street in
Mhm.
Toronto. You want to be in Sacramento. You want to be in San Francisco. What's it called? The Silicon Valley is in San Francisco.
Well, now everyone's moving to Texas, but that's a different story.
Oh yeah, Texas. Oof. But
Yeah.
and that means you're gonna have to pay more.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, having a work from home situation gives you that leeway that, okay, we can have our office be anywhere that we want if
Yep.
we need one. In the case for hybrid work, in the case of work from home, you don't even need an office.
You don't need an office
You
space.
just need to be
need
registered.
employees.
Yeah, you just need
Yeah.
employees. So that particular cost can be completely wiped out.
And in a way, that also reduces this whole issue of worker insurance premiums, because
Yes.
there's no workspace essentially.
So there's no working hazard.
There's no working hazard. You're just working from home.
And certain companies give you commuter benefits.
Mhm.
So they compensate you for your commute to an
Yeah.
extent.
So like TTC or fuel costs, whatever
Yeah.
it costs you,
That's gone.
that's gone.
What else? Utilities and
But maybe now companies, what they'll do is they'll change their fringe benefits from commuter benefits to health benefits. So rather, because you'll be sitting at home all the time, they'll
Yeah.
give you, a gym membership, or they'll say, hey, you want to buy a bicycle? We'll give you $400. Buy yourself a bicycle.
or get an ergonomic chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a standing desk.
Right.
Like maybe what they could do is they'll give you money to buy your equipment, but they'll
Mhm.
give you a list of things that they will recommend you to get. for
Exactly.
example.
Or they'll limit you that you can only buy stuff from these suppliers.
So yeah, like that's like the future. Like that's how they would innovate to be
Mhm.
able to make sure that your employee is
You're
healthy
well accommodated.
and they're efficient at the end of the day.
Mhm.
That's what they want their employees to be, efficient and productive. And speaking of product, so that's the cost benefit of analysis in a nutshell.
In a way, but let's look at certain negative aspects of work from home.
Well, there was a big hit on productivity. Well, not necessarily productivity, but it was more of exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like the only case study in a mass format is during the pandemic where
Mhm.
everyone was working from home. So that negative aspect can be attributed to the pandemic itself rather than working from home.
I think like the whole negative vibe that you were getting from the pandemic,
Yeah,
that's like, as in we're
like
trying
you're stuck at home
Mhm.
and all you can do, okay, fine, you work, but then you can't leave your house for anything else.
Yeah, you can just
The
all
most
you
you
have to
can do is
work.
maybe go for a walk,
Right?
Yeah.
And I think it's very important that people have that space.
Yeah.
Because if we saw, and I think we mentioned this in the introduction episode, is that the divorce rate went really high.
Yeah.
Right? And that can be attributed obviously to this whole work from home thing, that people are spending more time at home.
Yeah.
There's more tension at home.
Yeah.
Right? There's kids running around because they're also at home, so there's no space for people to,
To like
be themselves.
Like not everyone really had the luxury to create an office space at
Mhm.
home, and that
Exactly.
created issues at home.
Right.
We also look at, I mean, there was a rise in Zoom meetings. There was a rise in there was a high digital intensity.
Yeah.
If you, the article the blog post that we wrote, we cited an article from Microsoft,
Mhm.
and they did it was an index that they did. I don't quite remember, but basically every year they do a particular index on
Yep.
productivity and work.
Yep.
And they said that digital intensity went up.
Mhm.
It more than doubled during
Yeah.
the year, and that created a certain kind of exhaustion because you've went from like working with coworkers,
Mhm.
which also has studies that having coworkers around you creates a social atmosphere.
Yeah, it creates that ability, that you see someone, because we're social animals, right? We can't just live behind a computer the whole
So
time.
it's conducive to being
Exactly.
productive. Exactly. So we're in that environment. So
And-
you
and-
take that away abruptly.
And there's a difference of doing business over the laptop versus, face to face, right?
Yeah.
Because you understand that person's body language, you see how that person feels, you do business over a meal, over a drink, something along those lines,
Exactly.
right? When you're on your laptop, how do you share a meal with someone?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
Right? And this whole thing, like even companies would have to upgrade a lot of their hardware as well,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to get enough server bandwidth that goes over the internet. You have to get enough internet bandwidth for everybody to be accessing your servers 24/7, running those systems really hard.
But that can also be outsourced.
It can be outsourced, but you have to pay for that level of
Service.
bandwidth,
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
Because if you say you had an office, right, everybody could be connected by your local network,
yeah.
right? So everybody would be in office. All your connections are in office. So you can run as much bandwidth as you want in office because it'll be based off your cabling,
Yeah.
right? So your bottleneck will really be what your server is capable of, and that can be upgraded very easily.
Yeah.
But now when you're looking at this whole work from home thing,
Because you have to access a portal.
you have to access the internet. So now
Yeah.
your bottleneck is not really the servers and the hardware that you have, but it's more your internet plan,
Yeah. That's true.
right? So you need to be able to upgrade your internet. You need internet backups, and internet is
Mhm.
not cheap.
No, not
It is
here.
very expensive.
Not in Canada. In some
Yeah.
places, it's very cheap.
In some places, it's very cheap, but in Canada, it's
Canada,
not
it's-
cheap at all.
No, it's overpriced in my opinion. But
Yeah.
even
That's a
like
different
phone
story.
plans, that's a different
That's
story.
a different
But
story.
if we do move, but I feel like you could probably get a business plan of some sort. I feel like eventually if we do move to work from home to that
Mhm.
extent, or like even hybrid work, I feel like it's gonna come down. But that's the only time will tell.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are also advantages of having like hybrid work.
Mm-hmm.
It's because when you do work in a company, you have two aspects. More generally, you have two aspects of the work type of work that you do. One is like group projects or
Yep.
like planning and all that,
Yep.
and the other is the independent work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
So having hybrid work, meaning that
Yeah.
you only go to work for like twice a week,
Mm-hmm.
what that gives you is that for those 2 days in the week that you're in the office, you are working on those group projects, you are planning things out, you're having the meetings, you are delegating tasks.
Yep.
And then the rest of the week, you just go and get the work done. I mean, you could do the same meetings like through Zoom, but I feel like having that face-to-face contact, like you could also work a bit while you're in the office.
Yeah.
And all that.
I think that the other thing that we also need to look at this work from home is the work-life balance sort of improves in one aspect.
Yeah.
Because you're spending more time at home, which means that you, in a way, have more time to do other things. Like, because you're not spending an hour and a half commuting every single day.
Yeah.
You have that hour and a half to, go out and do self-improvement. You could go out for a bicycle ride.
Spend
You could,
time with your kids.
spend time with your kids.
Yeah.
So I think there's a benefit to this because it improves your work-life balance, but maybe it could be too much home life, too little work life, in the sense that things can become distracting. Right?
Yeah.
Say you had kids running around the whole time.
Yeah.
What would you really do? You wouldn't be able to properly operate
Especially
because
if you don't have a space.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you don't have the space, or your kids are really small, so they just run into your room and you're in the middle of a meeting and they're like, hey, I want you to do this with me. I want you to do this with me, and you're like, listen, kid,
on a meeting.
I'm trying to work.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. But that's the advantage of having like those 1 or 2 days that you're
Mhm.
in the office, so you can deal with the meetings then.
Yep.
And then when you're at home, like you could structure your day in a way that okay, when the kids are busy doing this, I can get this work done. Like you could work that out too, because it's
Right.
mostly independent work that you're doing at home.
Mhm.
So it gives you that flexibility. Because like I mean, yeah, 9 to 5 is good, but not every day is your day that you're gonna be productive, right?
And I think that another thing that also comes up, which is I'm going to go on a slight tangent here, but I
Yeah.
think one thing that does come up is the effectiveness of being able to get employees from different places. Because now
Mhm.
with this whole work from home thing, you're not really like limited to people. You don't have to like hire people and come into work that they have to commute into
Yeah.
work, right? You can hire anybody from any part of the country.
Yeah.
In that sense, you can hire anybody from any part of the world.
Yeah.
To
If you're a
work,
multinational
because
company.
you can work from, because everybody's working from home, or
Yeah.
if you take this hybrid model, the idea of outsourcing
Mm.
can also be rapidly, or can also be adopted more and more,
Yeah.
because you don't have to send as much work, because now you've already implemented this whole idea of work from home, this whole idea of being able to work remotely.
Yeah.
So just send it outside. Your labor cost is cheaper.
Not just that, I feel like we're gonna move away from the hourly wage model to the more performance-based model.
Mhm.
So you get like a base, and if you complete certain tasks in a certain
Like
time,
commission, basically,
commission.
like sales.
in a way commission, but yeah, performance-based.
Yeah.
You get bonuses depending on how efficiently you get your work done.
Yeah. So if you hit your targets, or if you exceed your targets, you get paid
Bonus.
better, compensated better.
Exactly, and I
Right?
feel like that's gonna be the new model. That's gonna.
Mhm.
I mean, it's already slowly moved towards it.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is the trend that
Right.
we're gonna go towards.
And along these lines, places like downtown Toronto are going to be less attractive.
Will they? Because if you still have hybrid work,
Mm-hmm.
that means you're still gonna go to office. You're gonna go somewhere
Yeah.
to have your meeting.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we're gonna 100% go to work from home yet.
Work from home. Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, maybe because we already had such a quick transition to it, so now we've learned,
Yeah.
and the pandemic kind of made it worse. But now that if once everything opens up and everything's back to normal, then maybe it might permanently move. But I feel like if you are doing hybrid, then I don't know if it's very feasible.
See, I don't know if. Okay, another aspect could be quite simply this: if we stop, like, if we move away from this whole having one major office and run with satellite offices. So then what you do is you reduce everyone's commute time by creating offices where people live. So say that a lot of
Mhm.
people, a lot of your employees live in the Peel region. So
Yeah.
in central Mississauga, you build an office.
No.
You take your downtown.
business idea. Ding, ding, ding. So
You take okay, run with it.
so what we can do? You have a company.
Yeah.
It's a real estate company
Mm-hmm.
that rents out office space, but it's like an Airbnb kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think it might exist already.
Yeah,
but
I think it does
basically-
exist. It's called WeWork or Regis.
There
I
you
think
go.
they've already done it.
There you go. But what you can do is you have 5 days of work days.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You allocate 2 days for this company, 2 days for this company, 1 day for this company.
Yeah. it doesn't work exactly along those lines. I think that's slightly more niche, what you're coming up with.
Yeah.
But there exists places where you can rent office space for a day, rent a meeting room for a day, rent office space for a few hours
Oh,
to
yeah,
operate
there is.
over thing,
Yeah.
right? But the idea that we're saying is that if a big company can create this, the way banks have they have regional branches.
Yeah.
Companies, rather than creating one big office, they create office setups, right?
Mhm.
Regional setups, which allow people to commute into smaller places, okay? Which may or may not be cheaper, but it reduces that commute time for people.
Yeah.
Which means that living in downtown is still less attractive, right? Because say that I worked in downtown, but I lived in Oakville, so I have to go train every single day.
Yeah.
Okay, or every 2 days I have to go train all the way to downtown.
Yeah.
Maybe it still makes sense for me to live in downtown.
Mm.
But now if it's in Mississauga, then why would I even need to go train? I could drive, because in Oakville almost everybody has a car, right?
Yeah.
Assuming you live in Oakville, you probably have a car.
Yeah.
So you just drive
It's closer.
to your office space. It's probably a 30 minute drive,
Yeah.
which is better for you than traveling all the way.
So in terms of satellite offices, so you're basically building an office.
You still set up your office the way you would do, but
like,
instead of
but what about the cost though? Because like if you have 3 or 4 of them, and you probably have one in downtown because you probably have a lot of.
but the idea
employees
is
there.
that you downsize your downtown office.
Mm.
So you downsize your downtown office, but you set up regional offices across.
Or because Toronto is it's a metropolis.
Mhm.
There's a higher chance of you being able to rent it out for a short-term purpose, like a day. You could rent a conference room.
Like you could sublease your office.
Yeah, basically, and then
Right?
use it like once a week. I guess. Yeah, I mean there are many models that could work. I feel
Mhm.
like it's just down to like experimenting with them and finding the balance.
Yeah, I don't think there's an ideal approach for work from home or
Not
hybrid
yet.
model,
Yeah,
but I think that the idea of a hybrid model is probably the way to go
yeah,
rather than this whole work from home, because I think it's better because you do get a much nicer work-life balance. You're more comfortable at home,
yeah,
right? So I think the idea of making people more comfortable just promotes this idea of productivity.
yeah.
Because see, like the way Google does it, right? So if you go to a Google office, there's all these fancy things,
There's
there's
a nap room.
restaurants, there's nap rooms, exactly, and all this is just to improve worker productivity and motivation and all those things.
And at the same time, if you have like the satellite offices as
Mhm.
well, you always have the option of, okay, I can't work today at home. I want to go to the office.
Exactly.
You can always just take your stuff.
You can just quickly,
like how you have your laptop and BlackBerry connected.
just
in.
zip across.
Yeah, so it
Right?
could work. Yeah, that's true. So that could be a trend that we might see.
Mm-hmm. What if another thing that happens with this whole work from home thing is this idea of maybe changing the working hours? So
Mhm.
people don't work 9 to 5, but they work in shifts. So you work maybe you work shorter shifts. So you work 6 hour shifts, and
Mhm.
there's 2 or 3 6 hour shifts.
Yeah. Wait. So like at home, like you work 6 hours and then you take a break and you work another 6 hours.
No, so different employees work different times.
Oh, but what if like I mean, yeah, it might be on a department to department cases, but what if what you mean is like at least one person in the department at any given time is working.
Exactly.
Especially if you're like an international company
multiple.
or multiple. So in case you need interdepartmental
Communication,
someone's
cross-border
always
communication,
there.
there's always someone there, and that might
Yeah.
improve productivity. Because remember when we used to study in school,
Yeah.
and we used to talk about this whole thing that 80-minute lessons are not productive, 30-minute lessons are productive, or 40-minute lessons are productive because people's attention span changes.
Yeah.
Right?
The
So
Pomodoro
8 hour
technique.
days, exactly. So 8 hour days can cause you extreme exhaustion, whereas a 6 hour day might be better because your productivity will be better,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the business will have more time to be operational, because instead of operating only 8 hours, now you're operating 12 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. And what if another way that they could go is instead of doing time oriented, it's
Mhm.
now goal oriented.
Yeah.
Like in a week, you have these tasks to complete
You finish them in your time.
in your time.
But I guess that's good and
The
bad.
only
because-
issue with that, like, yeah, the good and bad, because the only issue that comes up with that is communication.
Exactly.
It takes 2 to 3 business days to get an email back.
Exactly.
So what do you do there? So maybe a lot of businesses use WhatsApp chats.
Yeah.
So they could have like a business group, like
Mhm.
a departmental groups,
Or like
where-
Slack or Teams or whatever. Like any
Exactly.
sort of instant messaging platform.
So I feel like that's where a lot of work needs to be done in terms of making sure that whatever you are communicating, you get a response back
Yep.
in good time. So I
Mhm.
guess maybe like prioritizing the type of messages that you could send,
Mhm.
urgent or high priority, low
Mhm.
priority, etc. And also at the same time, like the management team's gonna work different hours because they're gonna have more load,
Yeah.
and their type of work will be also gonna be different because they're
Yeah.
more of like interacting.
I think they are more strategic, right? So I think I think it'll be a mix for them. I think there'll be more times where they'll find themselves. I think there will be more time that they will find themselves like on downtime,
Yeah,
and there will be certain times where they will be overloaded,
yeah,
right? I think more so than now overloaded, and more so than now downtime.
yeah.
So I think they'll have their scale will sort of reach the extremes.
And I feel like that is the case. That's been the case. So I mean, if you're management and you're like a senior director and everything, like you are in that position is
Mhm.
because you know you can you can strategize. Like you deserve to be in that position
Yeah.
to an extent, or you know what you're doing.
I think so, yeah.
So I guess in that case, maybe
Right?
yeah,
Vacation.
that is a tough one because now that you're not really going to the office,
You don't really
you're-
need you don't really need sick days
you don't really need sick days.
because you can just sit at home and do it.
But what if you're sick for a week and you cannot complete the goals? Then you can take a sick leave.
I think that if you are sick, you should be given that ability to let's say you had a goal that was due at the end of the week conventionally.
Yeah.
You had a goal that was done at the end of like you have something that was due on Friday and you fell sick on Thursday. Or you fell sick on Wednesday and you haven't completed what you need to do. You would still get up and complete it, right? Because you know that that is your goal,
Yeah.
right? Or you would somehow reorganize the work in such a way that you ask someone else to help you out with it,
Yeah.
right? So I think the same thing will apply. And because people will stay home, but they'll still sort of do a little bit of work here and there because you have to be active and people will ask you questions. So you have to speak about it,
Yeah.
right? Similarly, if you are sick and you're working from home, you will be at home in any case. You can still
Yeah.
be in your bed and you can still be online.
Yeah. That's true.
So it won't really make a difference. You probably won't need sick days.
Or like maybe it'll still be there and like it'll be like a hierarchy, right? At
Mhm.
first you try to do it yourself.
Mhm.
Then you'd ask other people to help you.
Yep.
And then you ask management to extend the deadline and take a sick day.
Yep.
So I feel like those sick days might still be there, but it won't be used as often.
Mhm.
But what about vacations? Like you know how you get 2-week vacations?
I think you will still get those.
Yeah.
I think those
But
I think those are like basic requirements.
I think what's gonna happen is what people are gonna do is they're gonna reorganize their work in a way that they're gonna overwork 1 week.
Mhm.
They will take they will go on a vacation, but they will take their work with them, so they
Yeah.
can work like an hour or two a day. There are lots of social issues that can come with that.
Yep.
In terms of family, it's family time, it's vacation. You're supposed to be spending time with your
Exactly.
family. Why
Exactly.
why you working right now? It's you're on vacation.
Yeah.
So all that stuff.
But if you think about it, when our parents went on vacation, it's not like they were ever not working, right? They always had something to do.
there was at least one phone call.
There's always like a phone call a day.
There was always a phone call. If not a day, but like there's a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something comes up. But I feel like it might be more now because you have to draw a line, right? Like work and life. Like you have
need
to,
that work-life balance.
You need to balance it. Like you can't
Yeah.
just go on vacation and still work. Like you're blurring the lines, and it's
Exactly.
gonna ruin your life.
Yeah.
So I feel like people have to be very cautious in terms of being able to draw that
Mhm.
line. At first, having a 9 to 5 and having a physical office allowed you to. It gave you the line.
It gave you that separation.
You go home, you're done.
Compartmentalize,
Especially like
yeah.
if you're like middle management or even like
Yeah.
lower management. You go to work, you finish your work, you come home. You have no homework per se.
Yeah.
Like as a senior director and all that.
You
CFO,
senior directors have to be online
'Cause you have
all the
phone
time
calls, you
because
have-
it's always there. Like there's always work for them.
and you're also working if you're working internationally, you're working with time zones, so that's always gonna be there.
Mhm.
Phone call at late in the night, that's normal.
Yeah.
But in terms of lower management, middle management, now that's where there's gonna be a shift in like how they're gonna operate socially.
Mhm.
So I don't know how the trend's gonna go for that. Like, it
Yeah.
could be really good in the sense that some people will be able to balance it out perfectly.
Mhm.
But at the same time, some people may not be able to balance it out. And that creates a new dimension for the interview process as well. Because now companies will not only be looking at how good you are as a person and like how you can help them,
But
it's
how
more
productive you can be.
at home. Yeah, exactly. How well do you balance your life?
Mhm.
So I feel like interview processes are gonna be very different.
I think they're going to be very strict.
They're gonna be strict because now you're looking at a bigger talent pool.
Yeah.
Firstly, I think that there's gonna be like some sort of entry exam. I have a feeling. Like you have the initial rounds.
Yeah.
Then you have the entry exam.
Like technical interviews in a way.
Yeah, basically.
But see, because a lot of banks do it, right? Like there are a lot, like if you apply to bank jobs, they have these like tests and stuff in place to see how well you are, like how cognizant you are,
Yeah.
how well you can problem solve, all
Yeah.
those types of things. So I think there's just gonna be, I think there's gonna be a more rapid adoption of that
Yeah.
concept, but also they will increase the tests that are done
Yeah.
to be able to clean out the pool so that you put aside people who can't balance, you take in people who can balance,
Yeah.
and then you do your interviews.
Yeah. Exactly.
So essentially, there'll just be a lot more screening.
I feel like there's gonna be another round that's gonna be in, like right now
Mhm.
it's like you get a phone call, a 10-minute phone call telling you, okay, we're gonna interview you.
Yep.
They just wanna like see how you sound. It's not a scam.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
also like you haven't got another job yet.
Yep.
Because like that's what that phone call is for, right?
Yeah.
Okay, are you still available? Basically. All right, that's the first round. Then you have
Mhm.
the interview.
Mhm.
Before that's a screening. Sorry.
Mhm.
Then you have the phone call. Then you have the interview. In some cases, you get a second interview.
Yep.
And then in some cases, you have like some sort of test.
Yep.
And then you get into training, and then you start the job.
Mhm.
Now I feel like there's gonna be an extra screening somewhere in the middle.
To test your interpersonal skills.
Exactly, your ability to be able to balance that life.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they were gonna do it. I don't know, because there's an issue of privacy there now, right? It's like it's
Mhm.
my personal life. Why are you messing with it?
That's
but like,
true.
hello, you're working from home. If your personal life is bothering you, it's gonna bother us.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to figure that out.
That's true.
But yeah,
I think there's a lot of concerns, like a lot more concerns than meets the eye.
yeah,
Because once you start getting into it, I think there's a lot of issues that pop up, like even taxes, right? Like I
Mhm.
think tax is also an issue because if you have people working foreign, like if you have people from like that are not, like it's not outsourcing, but you just have foreign employees, I think you have to pay a different level of tax on that because there's tax treaties between where they work and where
Mhm.
you work, or like
So-
where your headquarters are.
So I mean that goes into the interview process, right? So
Yep.
you have to figure, okay, where are they working? Okay, they're
Mhm.
working there. What's the tax implication if they're
Mhm.
working there?
What if they travel? What if your employee just travels because they have to, but they're still working, they're still online?
Yeah,
What do you do then?
I think it's like it'll be treated as a multinational corporation, right? It's
Mm.
basically having a company that has businesses in different countries.
Yeah.
Like
But what if
how-
it's
like
one
how
employee?
Coke, like how Coke works.
Say you're CIBC.
Hmm.
You work at CIBC. You go to Pakistan for a month or for 2 months
And you work
because you
from
have
there.
to. You're working from there. Right? I'm sure
Hmm.
there's a tax implication there.
I don't know. We're gonna have to search that.
I think that's something that's also an issue.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it'll be easier for companies to have their HQs be in
Mhm.
tax,
Tax
havens,
havens?
like how Coke is not based in US.
Yeah.
Coke, I think was it Cayman? Was it Northern Ireland? I don't remember.
Something like that.
Was it
Something along
Ireland?
those
Yeah.
lines.
So I feel like that will be more popular.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, oh, we don't have an office. We're
Mhm.
just online. We're basically
Yeah.
an internet company.
We work from home.
We work from home. So we have people.
And Cayman Islands is our home.
So we have like, you just send 10 employees. Like, okay, 10 of you guys are gonna be living in Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
Go. And then
That's your office.
that's your office. We're gonna create like a small little room. That's our stationary office.
Yep.
That's the only office we have in the whole world. Everyone else works from home.
Mm.
No one goes to that
And
office.
if we ever need an office space, we'll just rent it.
we just rent it. But our main office is in Cayman Islands.
Yeah. So and now you're a
They,
now you're in a tax haven.
like there's a way you could figure that out, and then you're in a tax
Yeah.
haven. But yeah, but then again, at the same time, if you have like a lot
If
of
you
employees
export,
operating, I feel like the laws might change. It's very hard for tax laws to change,
Mhm.
but I feel like if this becomes a trend, they're gonna have to change it.
I think they're gonna have to change.
It's gonna
tax
be
laws.
more of how
And-
many. Where are your employees mostly?
And another thing that we need to look at is how we calculate GDP, because if we, and I think we spoke about this in the future, that we're not going to have world economies. We're going to
Yeah.
have we're not going to have
Global.
like country based economy. We're just going to have a global economy, because like if you're exporting
Hmm.
Coke from wherever it's produced, obviously like Coke is produced locally for different countries, so that there
Yeah.
not that whole flow of money. But if there is that whole flow of money, then there'll be a lot more imports, a lot less exports, and that will cause your GDP to go down.
Because now the issue is like there's gonna be a big difference between GDP and GNP.
Yeah.
Right.
GNI.
GNI. Yeah.
GNI.
Gross national income.
Yeah.
So yeah, that might be the case, but I feel like wherever you're based in,
Mm-hmm.
actually no, when Coke makes money, what economy does it go into?
I think because they sell concentrate, right?
Yeah.
So they only sell the concentrate and the franchise fee, and bottlers will actually bottle it, put it together, and sell it.
Oh,
So what they only make money on
they
is the
outsource it.
exactly. So they
Yeah.
only make money on the concentrate. They don't really make money on the actual bottling of it. But I'm saying that in the sense that if you were to, like, for example, BMW
Mm.
or I don't know, Mercedes, Porsche, pick one of these brands, right?
These are all Germans, but yeah.
The reason, no, I'm telling you the reason why like my logic here is quite simply that they are produced in Germany and they're exported.
Yeah.
Now, say that they say, okay, we don't want an office in Germany. We want an office in the Cayman Islands, and we export from Germany across the world. But your office is in Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
Whose tax laws do you work with? Whose GDP do you account with?
Oh, true. That's true. But like, what if you do it like, okay, you're a German-based company, but you're Cayman Islands based for tax purposes.
Yeah.
You know how you have amortization, like depreciation, that you have normal depreciation, and then you have depreciation for tax purposes. So maybe like that's what's gonna happen.
I don't know. I think that's a very sensitive topic.
I feel like we need to ask an accountant about how that works, because like honestly, I'm not well versed in like tax laws, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. Maybe in a new blog post.
Maybe a new blog post.
Yeah.
Maybe another episode just on tax.
That's gonna be a tough one.
That's a tough episode.
That's a lot of research.
Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe we should get an accountant to help us out with this.
Yeah.
Next guest speaker, an accountant.
Guest. Yeah, you can have a guest.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah. Someone who knows tax laws here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
I think that sounds like a good episode.
Yeah.
And I think that brings us to the end of this episode.
Yeah, that was hybrid work.
That is work from home. At the end of it, I think I'm gonna say I think work from home is a great idea. Like this hybrid thing, I think it's a great idea. I think it's better than just coming into work.
Yeah, theoretically, yes. There are lots of benefits, but a lot of things that needs to be hashed out.
Yeah.
Like people, like humans, need to become more organized. They need to become more disciplined in order to be able to successfully implement work from home.
If done well, can be done very well. But if not thought out well, it will cause issues.
Yeah, like the ceiling is a lot higher.
Yeah.
For productivity, in my opinion. I agree. Because it cuts off commuting time. That's number one. No more morning traffic. Have you ever driven morning traffic in Saudi?
Trust, you don't.
Oh, I remember
you've not driven in morning traffic in Canada, bro. You go from like Oakville to Toronto.
No, here morning traffic here is like you're just waiting.
Yeah.
In Saudi.
Okay, fine.
I was in Saudi. I remember I was working like I was going to my dad's office. Now, okay, so this is how it is. So you know, like the Dammam and Khobar, they're twin cities.
Yeah.
Right. So I live in between the twin cities.
Yeah.
My dad's so Dammam is north, Khobar is south. I live in the middle.
Yeah.
My dad's work office is like the southern part of Khobar.
Yeah.
All right. So now, my dad used to Uber to work, and we used to leave together. But he used to Uber to work, and I used to take the car. Why? Because I had two people I need to pick up in the northern part of Dammam.
No.
So I had to go all the way up to Dammam.
Yeah.
And the way Dammam Khobar is set up, Khobar is like more of the financial hub. More of the companies and offices are in Khobar. So a lot of people commute from Dammam to Khobar.
Yeah.
So I go pick up my friends, and I have to go through Jubail Road, which is, oh my God. That was when I perfected my driving.
Yeah.
You are not a good driver until you get to those roads at that time, like 9 a.m., 8 a.m. Oh my God. I think I almost got into 3 accidents, and it wasn't even my fault. The guy just cut me off to get to the exit. At some point, even I'm just like,
been there, done that. I'm probably one of those people.
At some point, even I was like, oh no, I don't want to miss his exit, so I just like, but yeah, I learned a lot.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, that was just a tangent. Hope you guys enjoyed.
I think that was a good episode. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Take care.
See you next week.